Hey everyone, it's your host RP here, and I wanted to just take a second to introduce this new podcast called the Gateway Gamers Podcast. Now, this is not a new episode previously recorded. I do apologize for that, but tune in next Friday for that. This is a trailer basically for a new podcast that I am going to be co-hosting with frequent guest of the podcast, Marvel. So this is going to be a podcast about board games and the board gaming world that I am not very familiar with, but Marvel is. And we're going to cover a lot of IP. We're going to cover a lot of IP focused games, like stuff for the Marvel universe or Disney or DC. You know, a lot of stuff that coincide with this podcast, and there'll definitely be multiple crossovers with Shane and Bob on the podcast, and then synergy ones where we do we review the Jungle Cruise movie and then play the Jungle Cruise game from Ravensburg. But this is going to be a fun opportunity to let some of you guys know about the board gaming world that you may never even thought of before. There's a lot of really cool games out there. So this will be the second show under the previously recorded network. I know some of you may have actually been expecting Oboes with Bobo from Espo. That was the long-rumored second show under the previously recorded network, but it is actually the Gateway Gamers. So go find them on. We're on Spotify right now, and we'll be coming to Apple Podcasts and wherever you listen to podcasts real soon with our first episode dropping this Friday. Take a listen and enjoy the trailer for the Gateway Gamers podcast. All right, thanks, guys. We're too unqualified, morons playing tabletop. This is the Gateway Gamers podcast.
Hi, how are you? Welcome to episode 0 of the Gateway Gamers podcast. I'm Bryan.
And I'm RP.
And today we're just going to introduce ourselves, so whether you're jumping into episode 1 or episode 100, you can get an idea of what you're getting into and what we're all about. So I am a teacher. I started gaming a couple years ago, probably 2018, now 2019. I discovered board gaming, probably like a lot of you folks out there, through podcasting and YouTube, through the great Tom Vassell of Dice Tower fame. And since then, I've just absorbed as much board game culture as I could. And my friend RP doesn't know much about board game. During the pandemic, he recently moved and had me over, and I brought a few games with me, Basic Flux and Love Letter, and he enjoyed them. And then I showed him a picture of my giant game collection, and he was enamored. And we decided to podcast just to kind of maybe give other people an idea who don't board game like him. Figured it'd be a fun idea to kind of introduce games as we go. I know a lot of podcasts. There's a lot out there, so I'm not going to say that this is an original idea.
Ours is the best.
Oh,
don't worry about it.
yeah, maybe. We'll see. So we're just not going to be the cult of the new, as it's called in the gaming society. My collection has a lot of intellectual properties. So we're going to be doing a lot of Marvel, a lot of Harry Potter, a lot of movie tie-ins, a lot of games you can find at Target. So I think that's something a little bit different. The cult of the new is a term used on like BoardGameGeek.com for hot games. So I'm not saying they're bad games, they're just not games that maybe we're interested in, and they're games we're going to cover eventually, but I just kind of want to burn through my collection first.
Yeah, so as I said, my name is RP. I am not a teacher, but I am a huge fan of IP and pop culture, and also am the host of another podcast called Previously Recorded. So we got to see the Snyder Cut early, and that's when Bryan came over and brought his games, and like I said, enamored with a lot of the IP driven ones. And we kind of started this, as he's been on Previously Recorded before and has a vibe for podcasting. He pitched this idea, and I said, this is a great idea. Let's, as the Gateway Gamers, Bryan's going to be introducing games to me and also to people who aren't maybe necessarily familiar with some games, and I'm going to be learning some terminology and things of that nature, and especially through the IP driven games, because that is what interests me, and I know it interests a lot of people, and I'm sure when we will get to a point by episode 100 where we're doing not IP driven games, but it's really exciting, and it's a fun to do another podcast about board gaming, because it's a really huge world out there that I am unfamiliar with, and I think it's going to be a ton of fun. And I kind of want you all to come on this ride with us as we navigate the world of board games. And I'd become not a noob anymore is basically it. So, yeah, tune in. Anything else you want to add or that I missed?
Just we're not experts as much as we're addicts.
So just like on the previous, if you guys aren't familiar with the previously recorded, our mantra is the 3 unqualified morons. We're the 2 unqualified morons playing tabletop. We are not experts, but we like to have fun, and I hope you guys learned something along the way, because I absolutely know I will. And yeah, we're addicts. We just got to go out there and get all that IP, all that Marvel crap out there. We got to get it. It's ours to have.
All right. Well, we'll see you soon. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, enjoy.